ideas, and we are thankful that the image of India is excellent in the eyes and minds of the foreigners, so we thank you for your comments. Friends, now is the time to invite one of the most important speakers, Professor Dr. Glenn T. Martin, who is the International President of the World Constitution and Parliament Association, USA.
Would you please raise your arms toward the heavens? Would you please plant your feet on the earth? We are the vertical animal. We are vertical. Thank you. Let me go back here. Everyone on this planet is a human being. First, we connect the heavens. There's something about evolution that has resulted in the first and foremost aspect of us. The central aspect of us is that each of us, that the universe has come to intelligence in us, activated in us, and the capacity for kindness, empathy, relationship, compassion with other people, which is love. Intelligence and love is what we are, and we're each citizens of planet Earth. Not India first, not the United States first, planet Earth. But what are we doing? Right? Here we are on this tiny spaceship. You can fly around it in just a few hours. And my colleagues on the dais and Swami Agnovich talked about the terrible crises, the terrible problems, the problem of air pollution, the problem of terrible poverty of 1 billion people on this planet, the problem of war. And we are human beings living on the planet. This is our home. If we want to manage things, if we want to look at the challenge of management, we have to decide to manage our planet as citizens of that planet. We have to make that decision, not simply involve ourselves in local politics or in India politics or in South Asia politics. We have to decide to manage our planet. And we're not doing that. We're not doing that right now because we live in a world system, a gigantic world system, an economic and political system that prevents us, that blocks our ability to manage our planet as citizens of this planet. So we learn about the air pollution. We get sick here in Delhi because of the air. We learn about the possibility of nuclear war between the United States and North Korea. If that nuclear war happens, we may die here in Delhi as well. And yet we're helpless. We're helpless to do anything about it because there is no mechanism, there is no organization, there are no institutions which allow us as citizens of this planet to make decisions governing the planet. That is why we need to transform the present world system into a system which represents all of us. We need to replace that system. Now the UN, which has many wonderful agencies around the World Health Organization and so on, but the UN is structured in its charter. The UN is structured on that system that blocks our ability to govern ourselves on this planet. The UN is a treaty of sovereign nations. And the charter, as you know, puts five aggressor imperialist nations, 5 nuclear weapons possessing nation into power over the entire UN and everything it does. Unless we change that system, we have no future. We're not going to clean up the air in Delhi. We're not going to protect the planetary environment. We're not going to prevent nuclear war or any war, or these endless wars that go on around the world. We need to ratify the Constitution for the Federation of Earth. Right? It has been written. It was not written by me. It was written by hundreds of world citizens that worked from 1968 to 1991, intellectuals. One of them was a professor of law from Mumbai. Another was a Supreme Court justice from Bangladesh. A third was an international lawyer from Sri Lanka. People from all over the world worked together to write this Constitution. And what it does is empower every citizen of this planet to help govern the planet democratically, something that is denied to us right now. We can't even travel. Right? You can't even travel without the permission of some other sovereign nation. And every one of them, as Swami Agnovich pointed out, every one of them is wasting billions of rupees, billions of dollars on war, on weapons, on nuclear weapons, because the structure of this planet prevents human beings from living together and working together and loving one another and organizing themselves with intelligence. Intelligence and love are denied by the present structure. Now, the World Parliament is set up by this. It's a parliamentary system. And on this card that was handed out to you, there is a website at the top of the card, and I recommend you go to that website. The Constitution is there. Read it. Think about it. Read what it says there. And there's a space there on that website for you to sign up to get on the mailing list. It's free. You can do it for free. And you can also become a personal signatory of the Earth Constitution at that same website. It sets up a world parliament of 3 houses. A House of Peoples, a House of Counselors, and a House of Nations. And the House of Nations means that every nation in the world has 1, 2, or 3 representatives in the House of Nations. Big nations like India, 3. Small nations like Seychelles, 1. Every nation has representatives in the House of Nations, but the nations become like states within the United States, or like Pradesh within India. They become administrative districts with their own governments, but they're under the authority of the Constitution of the Federation of Earth. That Constitution does not interfere in internal affairs as long as they conform to human rights and the protection of the environment. But what it does is give the people of Earth the authority over all those issues which are beyond the scope of nation states to deal with. No nation in the world, not China, not the United States, no nation can protect the global environment. Do you think it could be done by the Paris Climate Treaty? The Paris Climate Treaty that was signed in 2015, it cannot be done. You know the United States withdrew from that. Why? Because the Paris Climate Treaty is voluntary. And even if the nations that stayed with that treaty stay with it, there is no penalty, there is no way of enforcing their agreement. If they don't meet their environmental standards, their environmental agreement, it doesn't matter. We've got to have real law in the world. And right now, there may be law in India, there may be law in China, there may be law in the United States, but between them, worldwide, between all these militarized sovereign nations, there is no rule of law. And there is no representation of the people of Earth. So the World Parliament has 3 houses: a House of Nations, a House of Counselors, a special house where wise and highly educated people are brought from all over the world, 200 of them, to represent the world as a whole, and a House of Peoples elected from 1,000 electoral districts around the world, by roughly equal by population. 1,000 people in the House of Peoples. So you have a world parliament of about 1,500, and the people of Earth will be represented there. More than the nations, because the people of Earth are more significant than the nations. The nations are administrative district, but we're citizens of this planet. That's what's real about us. So the Earth Constitution not only changes the political system of the world to one that will work to manage our planet properly, but it changes the economic system from one in which the 1% of the world's population owns 60% of its wealth, one in which everything we do, if we try to protect the environment, we can't protect the environment until someone gets rich off of our efforts to do that. It changes that to one of equitability, of shared wealth, of the resources of the planet belonging to the people of the planet, of reasonable justice, economic justice, and therefore it deals with the three main issues that we confront on this planet. The planetary ecology, it protects and restores that. The issue of war, it disarms the nation. And thirdly, the terrible issue of global poverty. 1 billion people in poverty, it addresses that issue. So please go to that website and look for this yourself. Thank you very much.
Her Holiness Swamini Godavari Mata from France. Please come to the side. We welcome you on this auspicious occasion. May I call upon Dr. Trivedi. Please come and welcome Her Holiness Swamini Mata Godavari, who has come all the way from Paris.
Yes, I'm so happy to come and to see how many people are gathered here for a nice purpose. I don't know if I will speak now or later, but I really encourage whatever is discussed here. So it is we have a common purpose, working for peace, for well-being of humanity, and if you all are together, if you put our forces together, unity makes strength. So very nice to be here and celebrate this in Delhi. Thank you so much.
In the meantime, there is a felicitation for you, and by the way, next month she is going to give birth to a new university, the Virtual University for Peace, because Paris needs, in particular, and France in general, peace education, because we have peacelessness problem there for the last 5 years. So thinking that in mind, Her Holiness is going to give birth to a new university very soon in Paris, and the headquarters will be in her building only. With these words, may I call upon Dr. Sharma, Dr. Amod Sharma, the Executive Director of Air India. Please come this side. Swami President Ji Maharaj from Varanasi. Also Dr. A.K. Merchant. Dr. A.K. Merchant, the Director of Baha'i Faith, Trustee of the Baha'i Faith, Baha'i Movement, and also Professor Raj Yadav, who has been in USA for many years. So, being conferred upon her. Very There is an award for Santosh Bharadwaj. Occupation Award. Friends, there is a very special award for Social Transformation Agency for Revival, STAR, doing excellent work, and the director is Mr. Abhishek Mishra. We call upon Abhishek Mishra to receive this award on behalf of Social Transformation Agency for Revival. National Financial Education and Promotion Award. His main role is to see that the institutions which are sick, he has the prescription for prevention of the educational sickness. There are many universities, colleges and institutions, including vocational and technical institutions, which are facing closure. So how to revive them is his main agenda through his agency on revival. Congratulations. Okay, there is an award for Sarvodaya Kanna Vidyalaya, Pandara Road.